In this video, I'm going to be telling you how to master the dragon fruit and why it's the strongest fruit in Blox Fruit's history. Starting off, let me give you some background information about the dragon fruit. The dragon fruit is a fruit that costs a total of a whopping 15 million belly, or you can buy it permanently from the Blox Fruit dealer for a total of 5,000 Robux. The fruit is obviously a mythical fruit, and since it has a transformation, you already know it's a beast fruit. This fruit was officially released to the game on December 14th, 2024. Before that, there was a dragon fruit in the game, but it was nowhere near as OP as the one we have today. This is literally what it looked like, and this is what we have now. Look at the difference, it's crazy. And one of the strongest things about the dragon fruit is just how overpowered it is for PvP. And you can obviously also use it for grinding, and in my opinion, it's really good for grinding as well, but its strongest suit is definitely PvP. Starting off, let me tell you about the basic moves that this fruit has. The first ability that you get is this M1 ability, which is honestly one of the best parts about this fruit. It has pretty good range, it's good for grinding, and it doesn't even drain your fury meter, making it a really good way to replenish it. And you might be wondering, what is the fury meter? But I'll get to that in a second. All you need to know for now is that it's really important. Basically, these M1s don't work just like normal fighting styles because the range on them is a little bit better. But one thing you do have is a slight cooldown after you use this ability 3 times. Another good thing about this is that you can kind of drag your enemy with you, and since it has a longer range, you can actually use this mid-air as well, which makes it really convenient. Moving on to the first official ability of this fruit, it's called Heat Wave Cannon. It's the Z ability. And for this one, you just charge up a fireball in your mouth and you just shoot it out. This ability has a pretty large hitbox, which makes it pretty good for grinding, and also has really long range. Moving on to the X ability, this one is called Infernal Pincer. It has good mobility, it creates a small explosion on impact, and it applies burn damage. They're going to be taking fire damage. It's literally like they're on fire, because they literally are, I guess. Moving on to the next ability, this one is the C ability, and it's called Scorching Downfall. For this one, you just jump up straight into the sky, and then you just rain hell on everything below you. It has long range, it has a large hitbox, it has good stuns, and it's really useful for ground PvP, and it's also a really good combo starter or extender. Moving on to the F ability, this one is called Dragonic Soar. Pretty decent for traveling, and this is actually a trick to make it a lot faster than it normally is, because the flying is faster when you aim downwards. And the thing about this ability is that you can actually deal damage to it, so if you use it while aiming at someone, then you kind of just grab them and start dealing a lot of damage to them. Now I'm going to be telling you about what stats you should be using if you're going to be getting the dragon fruit. For the stats on this fruit, you want to have a defense, melee, and fruit split. You just basically want to put 1/3 of your stat points into your defense, 1/3 into your melee, and 1/3 into your fruit. It's extremely simple, and to be honest, this fruit doesn't really have any other good splits. All 3 of them do things that are incredibly useful. You want to increase your defense stat because obviously you want to have more health. You want to increase your melee stat because you obviously want to have enough energy to use your abilities. And then you obviously want to put stat points into your fruit so the dragon fruit does as much damage as possible, because the whole build is kind of centered around it. For swords, guns, and fighting styles, there is kind of no point to even using them if you have this fruit, because once you're transformed, you can't even use them. But if you are going to be using this fruit when you're not transformed, then for the fighting style, I recommend the God Human fighting style or the Sanguine Art fighting style. And I'm going to be telling you guys how to get them. For the God Human fighting style, you need a 400 mastery on the Superhuman fighting style, Death Step, Electric Claw, Sharkman Karate, and Dragon Talon. Once you do that, you head over to the Floating Turtle Island, talk to the ancient monk who's located in this tree, and then you have to pay him a total of 5 million belly, as well as 5,000 fragments. You have to pay him a bunch of materials, and then you can finally get the fighting style. And if you want to get the Sanguine Art fighting style, you have to craft it from Shafi, who's located at Tiki Outpost. First, you have to defeat the Leviathan, get the Leviathan Heart, then talk to the NPC, and then you also have to get 20 Demonic Wisp, 20 Vampire Fangs, as well as 2 Dark Fragments. And then you can finally get it from the NPC for 5 million belly and 5,000 fragments. And which one of these you want to use is honestly up to you, but I recommend Sanguine Art because it is a bit easier to get, because you don't need to spend a butt ton of time leveling up other fighting styles. And for swords, I just recommend the Cursed Dual Katana because it's literally the best PvP sword in the whole game. To get this, you need to get a 350 mastery on the Yama sword as well as the Tushida sword, and then you have to complete the Cursed Dual Katana puzzle. And keep in mind, to get this, you have to be at least level 2200. And if you're in the second seat, but if you want the full maxed out build, then I recommend the True Triple Katana. And if you're in the first seat, I just recommend the Triple Katana. And for guns, it doesn't really matter too much. I just recommend the Soul Guitar because it's pretty good for PvP. Moving on, I'm going to be telling you about how the Fury Meter works. So the Fury Meter for the Dragon Fruit is actually pretty unique. It's not like the other meters that you have in the game, because it actually has 2 different levels. The first one is the orange version, where if it fills up orange and you use your transformation, you transform into a hybrid version, which isn't really the full dragon transformation. If you want to activate the full transformation, then you have to wait for the Fury Meter to turn completely red. Once you do that, you can activate the full transformation. But anyways, let me tell you a bit about this hybrid version. Basically, you just get a bit bigger, and your overall damage output increases by 30%. Your abilities get a bit better, and you can actually use 5 M1s before you get the cooldown, compared to the measly 4 of the untransformed version. Another thing I should tell you guys is that the Dragon Fruit actually has 2 different versions. There's the Dragon of the West and the Dragon of the East, and they each have their own positives and negatives. First, I'm going to be telling you about the East Dragon. The Z ability of the East Dragon, it has the highest range in the the game if you hold it down. It's the heat wave cannon, and this is literally what it looks like. It's just a crazy version of the untransformed one. Then we got the X ability, which is called Infernal Piercer, which has a massive hitbox and it applies burn damage over time. Then we got the C ability, which is called Scorching Downfall, and just take a look at this. It's just crazy. It has an extremely large hitbox, and you can literally just destroy every NPC on an island. This ability's range literally covers a whole island if you're in the first sea. Just literally look at this. It's insane. Then we got the F ability, which is just the movement ability, but you can also use it to do a bit of damage. And the craziest thing about this fruit is you can literally use it to solo raids. It's like the old Buddha fruit. It's just really overpowered. And on top of that, it's really great for PvP. It's an amazing grinding fruit. It has shorter cooldowns than the West version and also has a smaller hitbox, which means it's technically better for PvP. But it's honestly up to you to choose. Moving on to the West version, the Heat Wave Cannon looks like this. The Infernal Piercer looks like this, and the C ability looks like this. It's still insanely crazy. And the F ability looks like this. And this is what the transformations for both the dragons look like. They're honestly pretty crazy. And also, if you haven't noticed, the models for the East Dragon and the West Dragon are completely different. This is what the East Dragon looks like, and this is what the West Dragon looks like. Pretty different. Moving on, I'm going to be telling you about some of the extra abilities that you get with this dragon fruit. The first one is that you can literally make your dragon rideable, and you can unlock this ability by talking to the dragon tamer NPC. You'll actually have to pay for the saddle, which costs a total of 5,000 fragments. When you talk to him for the Western Dragon, he offers a saddle which can mount up to 5 different players. Keep in mind, all these players you mount have to be allied with you. And for the Eastern Dragon, you can only do up to 4 players, which is really crazy. And if you want it for both dragon versions, then you need to pay 10,000, which is just crazy. And on top of that, you need to have at least a 500 mastery to unlock this ability. Pretty crazy. Now I'm going to be telling you about the best accessories that you should use if you're planning on having a crazy dragon build. The first one is the Dark Coat accessory, which you can get by defeating the Darkbeard raid boss. And this coat increases your block's food damage by 15%. It gives you a total of 600 energy and 600 health. Overall, really, really good. And the craziest part is the 15% increase in your block's food damage. It's going to help a butt ton. Yes, sir. The next accessory I recommend is the Leviathan Shield, which is also a mythical accessory, and you can craft it from the Beast Hunter for a total of 1 Mirror Fractal, 30 Leviathan Scales, 10 Electric Wings, and 20 Fool's Gold. This accessory gives you a 15% defense against melee, sword, and gun attacks, making it extremely good for PvP. It also gives you a 30% defense against sea vents and a 90% protection against sea damage, and those two abilities are pretty useless for what you're going for. But that isn't the only thing that the shield gives you. It also gives you plus 1,000 health. Yup, you heard that right. Literally increases your health by 1,000 points, which is just really crazy. So if you have to choose between the Dark Coat and the Leviathan Shield, then I definitely recommend choosing the Dark Coat. Moving on, another thing you can do with the dragon is unlock skins. And you can do this by talking to the barista NPC, who's located at the cafe or the mansion. And by talking to him, you can craft different colors for your dragon. And the payment for this actually depends on what type of color you're trying to craft. And fragments aren't the only thing you pay this guy. You also have to pay him a bunch of other weird items. But it's definitely worth it. Your dragon would look super cool if you got a different color. That's pretty much it.